What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We are reacting to the very first official trailer for Star Wars The Acolyte, the brand new series coming out on Disney Plus on June 4th. We found out today a 2-episode premiere, so be on the lookout for those reactions. They'll be coming to our Patreon, link down below, and of course we'll be doing YouTube cutdowns of it as well. If you haven't done so already, we're about to jump into X-Men 97 after we just went through 5 seasons of X-Men the Animated Series. So check that out as well on our Patreon. There's plenty of other stuff, other movies and things we've been watching too. I don't know too much about this show. I just know that it takes place at the end of the High Republic era, which is about 100 years before The Phantom Menace. So I think it's safe to assume that it's not likely that we'll see too many characters from the main Skywalker or even some of the adjacent stories.
To answer your earlier point, in the High Republic so far, from what I've seen, it's only been Yoda as a character who's present, who was also, and then maybe some family names will pop up, like Sen Tekka, I think is another character who oh, that was that character that I think Christopher Plummer played at the beginning of Force Awakens. Oh, this character with the same last name, this family was still present or had a presence in the High Republic era.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's like a whole new world, baby.
It is. I'm excited.
I hope Sen Tekka's Mexican cousin Manteca is in the series too.
Lord
the Jedi.
This guy, this is the way.
It's my primo.
This
is my primo Manteca. Este güey.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Sure,
right.
Let's do this.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Close your eyes. Your eyes can deceive you. We must not trust them.
That's a Jedi in this show.
Okay.
Tell me what comes into your mind.
Life. Balance. I see fire.
Cool.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Trinity!
Oh,
okay.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
Nice.
Okay.
Someone is killing Jedi. It doesn't make sense.
Yord.
I sensed darkness.
Was that
Yo.
Buri Yaga, the Wookiee?
This isn't about good or bad. This is about power and who is allowed to use it.
Huh.
What is that?
Oh, Jesus.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes. Oh, absolutely not. Holy crap.
Who was that?
Whoa.
That was intense.
Whoa.
Wow.
What is that? They've never seen a red lightsaber. That's what's so interesting.
I know it's changed so many times and, things have been made not canon all over again. But, just generally speaking, from what I know about this era of Star Wars, the Sith are very much not at the forefront, right?
Yeah.
And that's even hinted at towards in the prequels that the Sith have been gone for multiple generations and all that sort of stuff. They're sort of building out their potential takeover of the universe or the galaxy and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what these murders that are happening, who's killing these Jedi, and how that. And I'm sure it'll be a loose tie into Phantom Menace, right? Because it's so many years beforehand. But to still see what are the seeds that are going to be planted when we get to the end of the show that are going to help the Sith sort of re-emerge later on to then defeat basically the Senate and the Rebellion and the Jedi in the events of the prequels. So it's cool. It's cool to also see that, the Jedi have been usually referred to as peacekeepers in the galaxy. What does that really mean? Because when we see them in The Phantom Menace, it's the emergence of the Sith, and then we jump into the Clone Wars, and they are soldiers, essentially. So I'm curious to see what a truly peaceful, quote-unquote peaceful time in the universe means, and what do the Jedi do when that happens. We see a lot of training with younglings, which is really cool. Sorry, they will not be making it very far, but it is what it is. But So far, it looks great.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I'm just excited to go into an era of Star Wars that is so disconnected from what we know from the Skywalker saga. I think Mandalorian is slowly kind of like diving back into the Skywalker story, whereas this really doesn't have an opportunity to do that because, as far as I know, no one is living yet.
Right.
Except for maybe Yoda.
Yeah, looks dope.
Right. Yoda.
Yeah, I'm sure we will see Yoda too, because this looks like high stakes.
Oh yeah.
This looks like high. This doesn't look like some adventure of the week sort of like, and also 100 years before the Phantom Menace, the Jedi dealt with this thing. Not that big a deal. They handled it. They took care of it. This looks like it is setting up those huge building blocks, those huge chess pieces of like, this is the world, this is the galaxy's lore, and these are the players. You have to imagine there's going to be a Yoda walking through, a CG Yoda probably.
At some point, at least once. Yaddle.
Yeah. But like, despite all the lore stuff, like the show does just look really slick. I love to see Carrie-Anne Moss fighting. I love to see that moment where they all kind of drew lightsabers and were like rushing at each other. It's like, oh yeah, it went with the new sort of era and the new technology of filmmaking that Star Wars has been using since 2015. They have had their 3 new movies, which had Jedi characters and Sith characters, like really singular, just like the twos, like Rey and Kylo, and that's it. They haven't been able to go into they haven't done the stuff. Even like Obi-Wan, the live action show that was maybe the earliest that they went back and did in the timeline, right? And even that's like, the Jedi are gone. This gets to be a full-on live action. Yeah, I don't think we've ever even seen this kind of thing where it's full-on live action, the Jedi at the height of their powers. Other than, I suppose, Attack of the Clones and, but like you were saying, Adam, it's like, but that was them at war and they're fighting.
That was them being soldiers.
And they're fighting not another army of Sith soldiers, but like droids. So this is this feels like totally new territory, which is really, really cool. So, but the show just looks good on its own. I'm just excited to see this story and see how it plays out. I like the directing and I liked how they were setting everything up.
I like that in the most recent Star Wars iterations, we haven't gotten any like super lightsaber heavy battles, and which is great because I think that there's a lot of good Star Wars to be told that don't involve the Jedi, don't involve lightsabers, don't involve like almost anything that we've traditionally had in Star Wars for the time being. But I will say the stuff that I love to delve deep into is history and lore. And I love the history and lore of the Jedi. And this is going to be right up my alley. Like, I love the whole process of the 7 trials, the creation of your own lightsaber, like all the whole like quote unquote culture behind the lightsabers and the Jedi and stuff like that. So delving into that in a live action series, I think is going to be really rad. This is almost like a space Game of Thrones, it feels like.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and I think like even like the smallest little details, I appreciate so much that we're getting away from good guys only having a blue or a green lightsaber.
Right.
I was like so not for that when they would never change the colors in the movies. I'm like, please, for the love of God, give someone another colored lightsaber. We can't have 3 colors in the whole fucking galaxy. For the love of God.
Dude. And I'm just now thinking too, I don't think we've ever seen a Wookiee Jedi in live action. I don't think we've ever seen
not in live action. No.
That's
going to be amazing.
I can't, let me tell you guys, one of the best characters in this line of publishing that they've been doing in the High Republic is Buri Yaga, who's this great Wookiee Jedi character who you just immediately love this dude. And I think that was him in the show. And I think he had like a little bit more graying hair because it might be 100 years after some of these books that I've been reading where he's kind of younger. He was like, I think a Padawan, training into a Jedi Padawan and then being a Jedi Knight. Yeah, just to see like the different types of Jedi characters. Because again, prequels were cool because they showed some of that stuff, but it's like, but we're staying with Obi-Wan and Anakin and these 2 human actors and more, and more of their human side story. And then Padme is like the 3rd main character. And then that's what that was. This looks like it's going to show you humans and different aliens and different looking humans and different looking aliens. And it just looks super cool. I want to see everybody's like story and what they're bringing to, the Jedi Order and like what they're, I just got in my head stoked about like, dude, we're about to see a Wookiee light up a lightsaber. Like, we have not seen that other than in animation, which has been great. Well, the animation's been great in comics and everything, but I think this is
Am I going to love him as much as Santo,
Wookiees.
Though?
Yes.
Am I going to love him as much as Santo? Okay, good.
As Santo? I mean,
Santo
maybe.
gets no love. You remember from Boba Fett? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Black Chrysanthemum,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yes,
I'm just really excited to see where this leads to. And is it going to be a one season type of a show? Will it be multiple seasons? Is it going to be a very finite story? You never know with these Star Wars projects. I think it could all depend on obviously where their characters end up, but I hope I think the biggest thing is, you know what? Just do the one season. Tell the story that you want to tell. If there's finality to it, great. You never have to do another season again. Maybe it'll inspire them to do more shows set in those eras or movies set in those eras. That could be really cool. Yeah. So I'm just excited to see something that is completely sort of I don't know, just set apart from what we've seen before in terms of the timeline.
Oh yeah, I think also to echo what you're saying, Adam. I feel like the procedure should now be. And it's what they're going to do with The Mandalorian. Disney and Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios and whoever else can't just be making as much stuff as possible as quickly as possible for Disney Plus.
Right.
Like
as we've seen, that's kneecapped them in the last few years.
That was their mandate when Disney Plus was new because, you know, Disney believed that they could get every human on earth to subscribe to Disney Plus, and that would be the way to get money. All the Star Wars fans already subscribed. All the Marvel fans already subscribed. This should be the testing ground for like set up new stuff or revisit older stuff that could have used a little bit of a revisit, like frankly Obi-Wan Kenobi. I thought it was a really smart idea for a show. They're not going to do another Obi-Wan Ewan McGregor movie, but do it as a show and loop an element, bring in Hayden Christensen, all that stuff. Because the prequel movies already exist, right? I'd love to see shows that basically just either continue to like help build out what movies established, or like in the case of The Mandalorian, do a few seasons, build up a fan base, and then end it as a series finale with a movie in theaters so that the movie can be really profitable. Because these shows aren't profitable other than like, oh, we got more Star Wars. Like this is the show that's going to make a Star Wars fan that's been holding out from subscribing to Disney. No, they're in. Either they're in or Star Wars isn't their thing.
Right.
So build this out with new characters, new actors, new characters, and then do a big movie event that's like the ending of the High Republic. It's still like its own movie that people don't necessarily need to have seen the show, but it would help. And then, you know, find ways to tell new stories, but have a big profitable, you know, ending in a movie theater so that people can go and see it and then something could make millions of dollars to kind of make everything up to that worthwhile. But TV shows should be more like build stuff out, add stuff, you know, revisit stuff. Don't put all the eggs in the TV show basket. Use that as it means. Star Wars, I'm sorry, it's Disney movies. That's where its home is. Do that, but do animated and do different kinds of, you know, but it's okay to come back around to that. And I guess I feel the same with Marvel Studios as well. Like I love all the shows, but fine. And I think they're going to plan, you know, okay, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, they're going to show up in movies. So that's what the end goal was. So I'm hoping that Lucasfilm can kind of do the same thing because how are you not going to have Torian Moss in a movie in a couple of years? Do that shit, dude. It's Trinity.
Exactly. But of course, let us know your thoughts. What are your thoughts about this first trailer for The Acolyte? Are there any characters from the books or any of the stories that have already been told that you will have to see in this show? Or what are some of your theories on where the show could go? Let us know. Come back in June when we watch this show. In the meantime, check out everything else that we're watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.